If you take my 20 years of experience in industry and squeeze it through and make a juice out of it, and you have to give it to someone in 10 minutes, then this video answers your question. All the learnings of last 20 years, I'm trying to compress in this 10 to 12 minutes video where I'm going to talk about what exactly industry ready means in the biotech sector. Welcome to Biotecnika. One more video, one more day. Today, we want you to really understand what industry is expecting and how do you transition into the industry. Now, truth be told, every year, 250,000 people pass out of their masters in life sciences. Minimum, that's a minimum estimate which I'm giving you. Out of 250,000 people, very less are industry ready, and that's exactly which we keep listening from the industry. Because we play students, we are talking to the HRs, we're talking to the scientists, they all tell us the same thing. So on one hand, Sun Pharma is one of the biggest pharmaceutical company. On the other hand, Biocon is one of the largest biopharmaceutical company. Serum Institute of India is the backdoor of vaccine development and production. At the same time, in the same country, 2.5 lakh people are struggling for job. What exactly is going wrong? Let's find out. Now, first things first, we have to understand that degree completion is not equal to industry readiness. Why? Because the college is teaching you outdated syllabus. I'm not saying that is not required. That is required. There's a basics, there's a foundation. You have to learn it. But the implementation of it, that's not taught. So that's number one. If you think that, okay, I'll prepare for some entrance exam like CUET, CSIR, NET, GATE, and then that means I'm industry ready? No. Those are academic exams that they don't make you industry ready. Knowing a skill set theoretically like PCR doesn't mean that you can perform it in the lab. How biology behaves in the real world is totally different than how biology is taught in a textbook. Industry asks you different questions than what exactly the academia is teaching you. The question they ask is, can I give this person a task and trust him with the output? If the answer is no, we are not employable. So in this video, I'm also going to give you the ABCD of testing whether you are eligible for that job. Quickly, let's dive in what exactly the colleges are doing. They're teaching you concepts, which is right. They're training you on theory. That is also right. Then there comes the exam and mark system. That is where things go wrong. They don't teach you how biology will behave in the lab. And most of the colleges have shared lab infrastructure. That means one instrument is being shared by 20, 30, 50 people. So the degree which is granted just makes you eligible for the job, not fit for the job. What the industry needs, let us understand that. They work on solving problems, okay? And any problem cannot be solved unless there is a protocol. So they take a problem, they build a SOP, and then they execute the SOP, they get the data, they analyze the data, they document it, and then the decision comes and then the deadline is there. So you are always on a deadline. In a college, they never teach you that. They don't tell you that you have to finish this task in 15 minutes. Industry wants that. Industry readiness means 6 to 7 things quickly. The first is, can you actually do something in a lab? For example, I studied PCR and molecular biology, but can I prepare a reaction? Can I run the PCR? Can I analyze the gel? Can I identify why it failed and troubleshoot the possible causes? Now, that's something which colleges don't teach. That is where the crux is. Now, depending on the role, the practical capabilities, and the industry where you are applying, the requirements may be different. I gave you example of PCR. It could be cell culture, it could be chromatography, it could be NGS workflows, it could be bioinformatics, it could be analytical techniques. Industry wants you to do it independently without supervision, right? So that's number one problem. Number two problem would be understanding the SOPs and documentation. Now, we all have a habit of reading textbooks, but we all have a habit of forgetting whatever is in the textbook, right? But when we are in industry, we underestimate the power of SOP. We do not understand exactly the SOP says, what is GLP, GMP, the batch, experimental records, traceability, data integrity, deviations, basics of CAPA and audit readiness. All of this is very much required and nobody teaches you in the college. Then the industry doesn't expect you perfect experiments, and the college has been teaching you perfect experiments. It's like, kindergarten. So your college is like a kindergarten for the industry. In all the experiments, if your experiments are failing, your teacher will come in and he will make the experiment successful and congratulations, you got the marks. But what exactly happens in the industry? They don't want you to succeed. They want you to know why the experiment failed. They want you to find out, was a sample bad? Was there a reagent problem? Was it an instrument problem? Was it a handling problem? Was it a pipetting error? Was it a contamination? Was it a wrong parameter use? Was it a data processing error? Your troubleshooting ability is what makes the major difference between someone who will get the job and who won't get the job. So industry readiness comes from troubleshooting experiments and not from performing experiments. Remember that. Data skill set. This is something which is non-negotiable. In fact, at Biotecnika, we train students on a lot of data analytical skills. The other day, I was talking to a professor from a Mumbai college, and he said that he is interested to invite Biotecnika to train their students on data analytical skills, and that is very important. Data analysis. It's no longer just Excel. It's about basics of statistics, understanding biological databases, BLAST, sequence analysis, bioinformatics, data visualization, Python, R, AI tools, LIMS, ELN concepts, all of that you have to learn. A biotech professional's future will not be experiments in the lab, but it will be biological data. And you must know what to do with that data, how to interpret it, how to document it, how to interpret and come to a conclusion, how to make a decision out of data. So data, analysis, interpretation, decision. This is what is the future of industry readiness. Interesting and important thing. What if something goes wrong and you are not able to tell people what went wrong, right? That is where communication skills. If we are in the lab and something went wrong and my supervisor comes and asks what happened, and if I cannot explain what I expected, what went wrong, what you checked, and what should be the next steps. If you can put all of this in one single line, then only you can make things happen. Otherwise, that is the biggest problem, communication. How do we talk? How do we communicate? How do we summarize? How do we troubleshoot? Very important. One important thing here, this is for freshers, okay? Reliability is a skill set. It's not about just being industry ready, but how long you last in the industry. Your supervisor scolds you, next day you leave the job. Your supervisor scolds you, you take a sick leave or you don't turn up next day. That irritates the companies the most. You have to show up on time. You have to respond professionally. You have to meet deadlines. Your supervisor sent you a message, you're not responding, you're not seeing. Maintaining records, asking questions when you're unclear, accepting feedback, escalating problems early before it has become a bigger problem, working with teams and taking the ownership when things go wrong. Very important. If you are reliable, you are industry ready. Rest other things can be taught. Reliability is in the behavior. It's ingrained in our blood. We have to behave reliably. The industry will love you. They'll give you salaries which you can never expect, but for that, you have to be reliable. Industry readiness is role specific, so let's quickly look at every role and what industry readiness you would require. Number one, if you want to target R&D, you need to know molecular biology, cell culture, asset development, documentation. If you are targeting QC, then analytical chemistry techniques such as HPLC, GC, UV, analytical chemistry techniques, GMP, GLC, GLP, and documentation is required. If you are in bioinformatics, genomics, then NGS, databases, Linux, Python, R, statistics, very important. If you are targeting clinical research, then GCP, trial process, documentation, regulatory understanding is very important. If you're targeting regulatory affairs, then regulations, CTD, ECTD, scientific writing and documentation is super important. If you're targeting bioprocess, that is manufacturing, then fermentation, cell culture, upstream, downstream processing, GMP, process understanding, scale up, scale down, all of that you have to learn. If you're targeting AI, computational biology, then you have to have the basics of biology, Python, statistics, machine learning, and biological data sets. Now, let's have an industry readiness test, okay? So let us say you are seeing a job from Biocon. So you have to follow these 4 steps. The first, do I know only the theory? If the answer is yes, then you are eligible to apply? No. You just know the theory work. The second, have I practiced in the lab? If the answer is yes, okay, maybe you can apply. Can I do it independently? Yes, then definitely you can get that job. Have I done a real project and proved the results to the recruiter? If the answer is yes to A, B, C, D, then definitely you are going to get that job. If the answer is only A, you won't get it. If the answer is A plus B, you won't get the answer. If the answer is A plus B plus C, your chances are there. But if you have a proven result, you're getting the job. That's how experienced people get the job and freshers stay behind. Now, how do you build that as a fresher? Very simple. Come to Biotecnika. Our CRO will train you and we will give you projects where you can gain experience, you can publish paper, you build the proof, you build the portfolio, and then you get the job. Details are given in the comment section. Chat with me, chat with our experts, scientists, and understand how we can help you transform from the academia to the industry. Now, moving forward, let's look at some of the interesting things which students do. They think that if I do 10 certification courses, then I'll get a job. Wrong. Certification is not an industry readiness. The skill set is industry readiness. If you just write completed bioinformatics certification, not enough. If you write analyzed RNA sequencing dataset involving X amount of samples using X pipeline and identified Y, that's the proof. The proof wins when it comes to skill set and not the certification. So just don't do the certification, do a project. Very, very important. And Biotecnika gives you just that. Now moving forward, we have to understand that the fundamentals, the practical skills, the professional behavior is very important. Degree gets you eligibility, not employability. Skills gets you shortlisted, project gets you proof, and professionalism makes you employable. Reliability helps you grow in that job. But here are certain things you have to know. When you're going in the interview, don't just start speaking big words like I know CRISPR, I know NGS. No. Even if you know the advanced topics, you have to know what are the basics. Stick to the basics. If you are thinking that if I know all the buzzwords, I know the top advanced topics, they'll hire me, that may not be true. The moment they'll ask you a basic question out of that, that is where they'll filter you out. So it is important to know the fundamentals. The basics is very important. And knowing theory is not enough. You have to know how biology will behave in reality, in the lab, at scale, like how it behaved in a 50 ml small test tube and how it will behave when you scale it to 500 liters in a big biopharmaceutical company. That you have to know. And of course, as a fresher, you cannot be expected to know that, but imagine if you are ready for that. That is where you get jobs faster. Industry readiness doesn't mean that you understand the process. It is not just a technique, it is about knowing the variables also. Let us take example. You want to make tea. So what happens? You take X amount of milk, you take X amount of sugar, you put for X amount of boiling time, and you put some tea leaves, right? Now, what happens if you change one of the parameters? What happens if the product quality changes, the raw material changes? What happens if the process fails? How do you troubleshoot the process? That is where the process characterization is very, very important. I know chromatography, not enough. Saying that I know how to troubleshoot chromatography, that is what the industry needs. Understanding the basics of statistics is required, basics of data interpretation is required. Knowing that which role fits you is very important, and that is where I always say, keep watching my videos. In every video I come up with different roles, different skill set. You see which one fits you, take it. Now, one of the biggest mistakes biotech students do is they think that if I know biotechnology, I'll get hired. As a biotechnologist, you have to know chemistry also. You have to know biochemistry, you have to know pH, acid-base balance, you have to know protein behavior, you have to know the fundamentals of bioreactor if you're targeting bioprocess jobs, you have to know analytical techniques if you're targeting the QA, QC jobs. You have to know that something I finish is not going to help me. Instead, you have to know that technically, I have to be strong. Technically, if I go wrong, how to troubleshoot, how to use statistics, how to read the data and interpret it, make decisions out of it. Apply logic rather than merely reproducing theory on paper. Generate evidence which support your conclusion and be very strong with communication. That is non-negotiable. Industry readiness means knowing where the technology is going. A downstream scientist will tell you something else, but as an AI/ML scientist, you know that, okay, a traditional column chromatography, membrane-based approaches may work, may not work. How do you use AI/ML computational biology in the traditional process? That is something you have to know. Now, at Biotecnika, we completely understand that technologies will change, platforms will change, softwares will change, the roles will transform, but one thing will remain common in all of this. Biotecnika will keep telling you where you have to be, what you have to do to be industry ready. As of 2026, this is what you need. To become industry ready, you have to know the fundamentals. You have to know the application of these fundamentals. You have to know how to scale these techniques, and you have to know problem solving, you have to know documentation, and you have to know professionalism and reliability. That is how you get jobs in the biotech sector faster. I know it sounds complicated, but it is not. Just break this video down into small chunks of 2 to 3 minutes, and you will know how important this is for your career. All the best.